Here's Brady. In trouble. Steps away. Brady fires. It is caught! Oh, what a play! Brady eluded the rush and fired a dart to Diggs for the touchdown.
Seems like the perfect throwback.
All right, welcome in. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Mark Dondero. Good to be with you. I haven't been on in a while. I have a lot to get to today. Spring is almost here. Spring is here. And that makes me happy. I love the spring. Golf clubs are out. Went to the range. Sharpening up the short game. Feeling good. And I'm going to start with the flag football event that we came in listening to just there from yesterday out in Los Angeles, Tom Brady. You know, I have made a decision. I am out on grown men playing flag football on television. I think it's an awful product. I don't like it. I'm not entertained by it. It's a nothing burger for me. Tom Brady playing I think NFL tackle football players playing flag football is just such a bad, kind of sad look. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good, and I don't think it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? Stimulating watch. It's not a captivating product whatsoever. And I'm out. Interesting concept. I didn't hate the concept, and I'm all for the collector community, the hobby community. And if these things are becoming more of a frequent occurrence now because of that, I'm fine with it. But overall, I think it's a terrible product. I don't think it's fun to watch. I think it's kind of it was cool that they were mic'd up, I guess. That was interesting. But I'm not for a gimmicky event featuring guys that used to play the real version of the sport. Does that make any sense? I am totally out on that. Do you know what I'm talking about, George?
Yeah, kind of like the big three. I've never really gotten into that in like the basketball version of kind of has-beens washed up doing what they do.
Exactly right. Yeah, I've never been into the big three.
If it was 5-on-5, I still wouldn't give a crap, So
this is what I think they should do. And honestly, I think that whole thing yesterday was put together for Tom Brady. Now, I could be wrong. But Fanatics, obviously he's very well endowed in the collector space. Card vault by Tom Brady. Great spot. Chris Costa. All of those things. And again, if that's the motivation behind it, fine. I mean, you could create collectibles out of some of the things, the sunglasses and the jerseys or whatever from yesterday. Good. Let people make money, auction them off for charities and all that I'm fine with. But overall, I am not for a gimmicky edition of a sport that you used to play. So, George, that was a good example. The big three, out. Football players playing flag football, out. Out. Okay? I'll tell you another thing that you would think if you knew me, I would be all heavily into, but I'm not at all. TGL, out. I don't like TGL at all. I don't care for TGL at all. Okay? It just doesn't do it for me. Now, maybe I'm in the minority. Maybe people love it. Fine. Go ahead. I don't really care for it. You know when I would be more interested in TGL? And I'll tell you this. If they had the exact same format, exactly the same, but featured not professional golfers, all in. If they had celebrities playing a TGL-style event every week, or, I don't know, sign them up for a season like they do Dancing with the Stars. The season of TGL, season 1, season 2, and you bring in different celebrities for a week, every week to compete in the TGL-style golf competition, all in. I love that. I do not care about watching Rory McIlroy, who just got done toppling Augusta National or the Florida Swing or whatever it is, playing on a simulator and putting on a fake green. No. They're the best of the best. I don't need them involved in gimmicks. And by the way, just so we're clear, this isn't street ball versus regular simulation basketball. That basketball on the playground, by and large, if pros were going to play it, it's still the same thing. That's not gimmicky. Street ball, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant going to Rucker, not gimmicky. That's basketball. It's just a different style of the game. These events are gimmicky. Flag football, TGL, gimmicky. Out. I thought it was awkward watching Tom Brady play flag football. And people were forcing it. I thought it was, look at that throw to Diggs. Who effing cares? This was an event so Tom Brady could get hyped up about something. This is basically, you know what it was to me? It was a rich guy who had the means to fulfill the fantasy that any normal person that likes sports would love to fulfill. How many men that play in the adult over-the-hill hockey league or Monday night basketball would love to do it in front of people with money, getting paid, celebrities around? I mean, that's what everybody wants to do.
Inspiring the wrong people. And it's been reported, and God bless Leroy and Cerrone show. Leroy's the one who brought this up to me yesterday.
I didn't hear it.
Darryl Green, ex-NFL Hall of Famer, obviously. He's 20 years in the NFL as a cornerback, so fit guy.
Washington.
But somebody well over his prime. He's looking to make the Team USA flag football roster. He's training for 2028.
Okay, good. That's nice. That's a nice goal. It's important to have goals. I just think that was Tom Brady. And again, I'm not holding it against him. It's fine. I'm sure he has a huge competition void deep within from not playing with what he did for 20 years. Whatever it was, 21 years, however long he played, not being able to compete at that level. I mean, I don't know what that's like, but I'm assuming that's a devastating loss for a professional athlete that did it at that high of a level and that well for so long. So if he needs to find ways to get a fix, I'm for that. Fine. I didn't like the product. I don't like flag football on TV. Flag football is a child's game.
Going back to the Brady component of it, though, do you think that he can come out of retirement and be a top-tier NFL quarterback still?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I was thinking about this. Remember when he left, George?
Yes.
Remember 2019, 2020, the end of the right before the pandemic?
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah. He could still be the Patriots quarterback right now. Right now. And I dare anybody to convince me otherwise. I think he could be a top 7 quarterback in the NFL right effing now. Tomorrow. Yeah. Because everything that he's still able to do with the way he takes care of his body, the way he processes the game, the way he gets the best out of his teammates and demands the best out of his teammates and creates a culture of winning and of work and of team harmony and all these chemistry, all these different things.
And really, no offense to the wives out there, I really think that the family life and the being a good husband, good father was holding them back, and I think that he's over that now, having that kind of blow up. So to your point, he looks the part. I think that he could have definitely continued to be the Patriots quarterback at least to 45 when he wanted to give it up. Obviously, this probably would have been at the expense of Belichick a lot earlier than we thought that his fastball was. And I was always a Belichick guy, so I'll take the pie in the face with that one. Obviously I was way wrong on that. But yeah, Brady obviously still had it, and he delivered for Tampa.
And the question would be, it's not that simple, obviously. The question would be, if that scenario were going to be something that was ever discussed, how engaged would Tom Brady be? Okay, and what I mean by that is, yes, he has that competition void. I'm sure deep down he would still love to be able to play NFL quarterback. That's what forever he's always going to be known for, fair or not. The question would be, how engaged would he be if he was actually in that situation? For example, 2019, or what year was he the most miserable 8-0 quarterback? Was that the last year?
The
he
year
was here?
Before that, 2019.
2019.
Yeah, it's last year.
It was the year of the boogeyman.
Yep.
That's because if he didn't have a great roster around him, I don't think he would be as engaged. If he had the loaded roster with, the equivalent to Rob Gronkowski and Mike Evans and, people where he knew he could compete for a championship and people that he liked to be, then he could do it. I don't think he could just walk into any situation
like Tampa,
because I don't think he'd be interested.
Right.
Like, I don't think he wants to deal with N'Keal Harry or the rookies or Jalen Polk or something like that and try to get the most out of them.
And to your point, I think he just has too much respect for the game. I thought you were going to go the whole Favre and Rodgers route. In kind of their elder years, they definitely kind of pulled away from the OTAs and the things in the offseason. I think Brady, he's kind of earned that right, but I also think that he has too much respect for an understanding for the work that needs to be put in to take the team and get them over the hump, and he wants to lead by example. And for all of the Felger and Maz stuff, Felger in particular, with him not showing up and the dedication, or it's really not showing, I think it was evident in the back end of the years of the Patriots. He kind of got back on that high horse when he was right in the beginning with Tampa those years and in the early part of this decade. So I don't think he could ever go that kind of lax route the way that Favre and Rodgers did in the later years.
Let me give you an example that crosses sports, and I don't care about crossing sports. I think it sometimes can be good. I don't think, and obviously this is a different level of legend to a point, I don't think Tom Brady has the mentality of Jaromir Jagr. Do you remember Jaromir Jagr?
That's right.
Okay,
2013. I don't think he's tallied any regular season.
That's correct. He couldn't score. But Jagr, and obviously, again, hockey, leadership in hockey is different than in football and playing quarterback. But Jagr, I feel like, as a legend, for the level of legend he was in hockey, and he was the best player in hockey for a while there, he just loved the game. I don't think at the end he cared who he was playing with. Now, obviously, it's nice to win. He was in the Stanley Cup final with the Bruins that year. But I don't think he, deep down, really cared. I think he just wanted to play hockey. I think he just wanted to be out there.
I hear you there. It's for the love of the game is a little different as a quarterback because
I don't think that Brady would have been able to do right. I don't think Brady he wouldn't have been able to. He would have needed a very specific situation. Right. I don't think, as much as he loves the football game itself and playing and competing and practicing, I don't think it could have just been with anybody.
It's a tough analogy too because like in the NBA to cross sports again there too, you could just kind of take like a bench role the later you get in your years, and as a quarterback you can't kind of play half the snaps. You kind of have to be all in and knee deep. So
no, but if Tom Brady's life was on the line, or whatever you want to call it, and he had to get some team back into the playoffs, I think he could. If he had a reason to get up to do it, I think he could do it.
Yeah, and
I just don't know if he'd have the motivation to do it.
Yeah, and listening to Matt and Kendra on the way in, I think I agree with them. He would be a top half of the league quarterback easily, probably even top 10 if we get down to it. He's that special to me, and I mean he's throwing dimes out there. He's throwing to Stephon Diggs. It's kind of emblematic. I don't know. I don't think that Diggs would come back over here, but that connection has to have crossed the mind. The symbolism there.
It didn't cross my mind, to be honest. Again, it's flag football. It's a child's game. Yeah. The children should be playing flag football.
Interesting to see Diggs out there, though. He's a free agent.
Yeah, that wasn't.
You don't want a Robert Edwards situation.
No. Yeah, I don't know if Brady would be motivated enough to engage in that.
I agree. This part of his life too.
I just feel like he could still do it if he wants. I mean, if you were honestly worried about if Tom Brady, let's say you were putting a scouting report together for Tom Brady who was trying to make a comeback, what would his weaknesses be? What would you really be concerned about?
Probably just mobility and
which is always a concern.
Always, right. You'd be clamoring at the pit. Right,
I mean, I guess he's old, so if he got really lit up during a game, you'd worry about if there was an injury. But the way he takes care of his body, is that really going to be? And he's so savvy. I don't know if that would be a real devastating concern.
Right, or debility. Right, yeah. His brain power is really his greatest gift.
And he can still throw it. You know that. He can still throw it around. He still has enough arm strength. And then the whole leadership component and creating. I just think that. He shouldn't have owned the Raiders. He should have kept that door open.
Would you take Drake May right now or a 48-year-old Tom Brady?
Oh, Drake May. Hey, Drake May. I'm talking about a team that doesn't have the guy. Or if, somebody were to get hurt. Or I don't know. A team that was ready to win and somebody got... For example, I'll give you a team right now that I would have made a call tomorrow on Tom Brady. San Francisco. I would call... Tom Brady if I were San Francisco. Now, that's not realistic, but I'm just saying a situation where they
didn't give
have
the money
had
to
talent.
Brady. Oh.
They've proven they've been able to draft. They've got a defense. They've got a brilliant offensive head coach.
Right. Roll out the red carpet for him, too. And
Yes,
just,
like
whatever time you need, we'll cater to you.
If you get that,
Situation like that.
and I don't know what's going on with the whatever that plant was out there that they were worried about the injuries. You know what I'm talking about in the Silicon Valley?
Oh, my God.
Was it a radio?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about, though? There was like a plant or something out there near where the 49ers practice
Oh, my.
that I'm going to look it up. That people were making theories about why they're always so injured. I forget exactly what it was. Like a nuclear something. I forget. But if they needed help with their culture of injuries, I feel like Tom Brady, the way he takes care of himself, could help in that regard too. So, there's a lot of ways to go. There's a lot of thoughts I had coming off of that. I also had an idea about the Pro Bowl that we'll get to in reference to the flag football game. 617-779-0985. I don't care what you want to talk about, honestly. If you want to call, I don't have much to say on the NCAA tournament, but I can generate a take if you want one.
I know. I said all those nasty things about the NCAA tournament. I stayed watching High Point, Arkansas, the game last night. Yeah. So
I turned it on.
it was interesting at that one game. Was it Vanderbilt or whatever? They missed that 3-pointer at the buzzer.
Yeah,
too.
it was down. That would have been something.
It would've.
I was watching a lot of, what was it, Texas, and who are they put? Whoever Texas beat last night, they edged out the game last night. I was half watching that. So whatever you want, give us a call. Mark Dondero, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports. this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Why the did these NFL guys sign up to play against the greatest flag football players of all time? Our guys don't even know the rules.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub, 617-779-0985. That was Pat McAfee. Don't really understand that take. Didn't they get paid a lot of money to do that game?
I think that was the incentive
They
behind,
get paid a lot of money.
so
It
many
was a
players out
celebrity
there,
orgy.
the Joe Burrows and the Jalen Hurts making juke moves.
Yeah, it's a celebrity event where you get to rub elbows with all these influential people. Network, make friends, content, all that. That's why they do it. Look, again, I think flag football is a child's game. I think children should play flag football. Grown men playing flag football looks silly.
Right. Would you want to see major leaguers playing softball?
No.
Not nice little analogy there.
It's
Wiffle
also
ball.
a different sport. And one of the videos I gave, obviously there are different techniques
Nuances to
for
this.
not allowing somebody to grab your flag, more than just being a shifty athlete. I mean,
Cheating.
those guys are trained differently. So, which was interesting. I don't like the product at all. I think it would be, if you want to be gimmicky, we were talking about TGL. If you want to get and they've done this, obviously, the match. I love the match. Bring athletes, celebrities, let them play golf. Love it. Because that's a sport everybody tries to play. I say everybody. A lot of people try to play. It's a challenging game. It can humanize you. It humbles you. That's a great gimmicky type of event to watch. Flag football with real players that play tackle football? Absolutely not. TGL, where real pro golfers are playing on a simulator? No. I'd rather see Tom Brady and Logan Paul and Rob Gronkowski be on a TGL team and play and see how they can deal with the simulator and the fake green and some of the golf skills that are necessary to have success in an event in a forum like that. I'd rather see that. I don't need to see Rory McIlroy bring himself down to that level. It's a fun atmosphere and a fun environment. You have some access if you're there to the players. That's cool. But I don't like guys that play the real sport for real as professionals engaging in gimmicky quack type of events. I don't like it.
Right. Maybe it'd be more interesting if it was like other athletes from different sports doing
That's
that.
correct.
Right. I agree with
Especially
that all
golf.
the way. Because I was into the match and things like that with the Bradys,
Yes.
Phil Mickelson, all that. So I would be into that. Aaron Rodgers, Steph Curry, the Charles Barkleys of the world, Pat Mahomes. If they were into doing events like the match, even in a TGL setting, I would be down to see that.
Right.
It would be more interesting, more compelling. But seeing them in the real sport, it is very gimmicky. It's hard to find the words for it. It's really distasteful because all it's going to take is an injury for this cute novelty of money-making thing that this flag football thing is trying to be, setting up for the 2028 Olympic Games. So it's just I don't see it as something that I would ever really get behind or into unless they kind of mix it up and made it even more gimmicky than it is. But I just don't like seeing the real stars do that.
I understand the safety concerns, and
It's like
I'm all
degrading.
for flag football at the youth level. I'm a full supporter of. My son has done it. I think the league he plays in is outstanding. I think it teaches the kids lessons. I don't think they need to be tackling at 7, 8, 10 years old.
I agree.
So I think it's a great. I remember I've said this before. I remember Marshall Faulk. This is 25 years ago. I think it was right before Super Bowl 36. He was talking about how when he was a kid down in New Orleans, they never in the backyard played tackle football. And he said, I'm paraphrasing, but the quote was essentially, if you can't touch me, how are you going to tackle me? And that was the whole point of what they would do. They would play touch football, and they would work on not being touched. And if you can't touch me, how are you going to tackle me? And it worked out pretty well for him. So I just don't think the kids need to play. You get into middle school and obviously high school, that's different. Then you can play some tackle football. Youth level Pop Warner out. And I love what flag football offers from that perspective. making sure they know the plays and learning some of the discipline associated with a practice where you have to get yourselves together so you know what your coach expects of you and you have to remember key concepts and matchups and different. I think that's all that's great for the kids to learn. Watching grown men do it, weird. Out. Don't need to see it. You want to do it on your own. I'm not saying don't have a turkey bowl. I'm all for that. I like having a good time. Do it. I just don't want to see it on TV. Doesn't need to be on TV. I don't care who's involved. Doesn't need to be on TV.
Now, do you think that, because Joe Burrow wants to be the quarterback for the 2028 Team USA team, do you think that NFLers should be a part of this? Should they partake in this? And how should we weed out the best NFLers or the best flag football players? Because that's what they're going to need to be, a cohesive team for the flag football squad.
I'm for it if they earn it. I'm not sure what the prerequisites would need to be for them to prove that they've earned it. The idea that I had coming out of yesterday, this is what I would do. They had a little round robin tournament yesterday where the USA team ended up, everybody kind of played everybody. What I would do, and again, I don't know what the schedule for USA flag football is, but whatever team that is, every year at the Pro Bowl, and as much as I don't like watching flag football, I just outlined that, I would be more interested in this. Every year at the Pro Bowl, actually bring the players down for a full week to Orlando or wherever you want to do it and have the AFC team and the NFC team actually train for a legitimate flag football game and see if either of those all-star teams can beat the USA team.
Off the cuff, that is a great way to get the best players and have them shine and make it a flag football game.
Right? A real flag football game and make the NFL guys train for that way. There's no hitting, so they'll still get a little bit of relief, but make them train and try to adapt to a little bit more of the flag football style, the moves, the plays, the rules, the different things that you need to. Obviously, they didn't know about yesterday. They weren't as well schooled yet because they had a couple of, half-assed practices leading up to it. Actually try to prepare them and see how the NFL guys, the All-Stars, go up against the real flag football pros. And that could be interesting for me. If I had to watch, that's what I would be interested in. It would save the Pro Bowl to an extent. It would make it digestible at least. I think it would be a realistic format that people could get behind. It could shine a nice light on flag football as that sport grows at the younger levels, and if they're going to bring it to the Olympics, all of those things. And it could do something from the NFL's perspective and get them more involved. Maybe you could see some crossover at some. I don't know about Darryl Green or some retired 6-year-old playing. I don't think that's going to happen. But
bring the Pro Bowl back to Hawaii.
I would love to see it, but I just think that would be a more appropriate way to celebrate the NFL All-Stars than doing the backyard grab ass, whatever that is. That's a joke.
Yeah, I don't want to do any captains or any splitting up of countries for the NFL either. AFC, NFC format.
I just think that'd be interesting. Actually make it, try to get the competitive juices of the NFL guys flowing and see if they can beat this team of professional flag football players and make them engage in that process for a week or, a little less than a week and see if they can actually do it. And then you can see which team, has the better showing. I don't know. And maybe then maybe they can feed off of that and it could be something. That's what I would do. 617-779-0985. So anything on the flag football, Tom Brady. I want to get into the Patriots offseason. I haven't had much of a chance to talk about that. Also baseball. What a World Baseball Classic. The season is going to start. What did you have on your rundown, Joe? You want to go to off-season next? We'll do some off-season talk.
Let's do it.
And then we'll get into some baseball stuff because I have some thoughts. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, The in sports. We're fans just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You've seen other wide receivers that have made trade demands, so I just wanted to clarify. Do you believe that at one point AJ and his camp have said, yes, we would prefer to be elsewhere?
Yes, I think that's been conveyed at certain points, yes.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Let's go to the calls. Cam is in New Hampshire. Hey, Cam.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man?
I just wanted to talk about how I do not think the Patriots should trade for A.J. Brown. I think they'd be better off keeping it how it is right now and letting the young guys like Kyle Williams, maybe Evan Chisholm develop a little bit more.
Is there a reason specifically why you don't want to trade for A.J. Brown?
I just think he's got, the knee problems. I just don't think he's going to be the healthy. He's getting older. And I just think, like I said, Kyle Williams and Evan Chisholm should get more volume next year. I think they have a good chance of being elite if you give them the ball more.
All right, Cam, that's fair. I would still do it. I would not give up a first-round pick. That was a joke. That conversation shouldn't even have taken place. And it feels like, based on what the cap hit would be for the Eagles, my guess is with how much it goes down after June 1, I think they'll ease off of that price a little bit if they really think moving him is the best idea.
I agree with that, too, because the pick 31 is essentially a high second-round pick. Be honest,
right. And I mean, the cap hit goes from, was it 43 million or something like that to 17, 16, 19 million, somewhere down there. So
it just makes more sense from the Philly perspective.
It makes sense for them to ease up because there's no way anybody's giving them a 1 for some of the reasons that Cam just brought up. I would still do it. I would respect the relationship that Mike Vrabel and A.J. Brown have had. I would honestly respect the passion that A.J. Brown appears to have for the New England Patriots. It's not going to make the trade a success, but I don't think it hurts. And based on what you've been at the wide receiver position, why not? That'd be a nice top of the line receiver based on what you have to put in there. And I think all of a sudden things would look a little differently if you have that level of talent at the top of your depth chart at receiver. So I would do it. I would still be interested, and I think Drake May could thrive with a guy like A.J. Brown in the lineup based on everything else they have. They've had, look, I'm fine with the B-plus guys running around, but, we saw what happened last year. Players make plays don't make players, and in the playoffs, Stephon Diggs was nowhere to be found.
Couldn't get separation. I think A.J. Brown could be a separator. Now, question I pose to you, your level of concern for the injuries for A.J. Brown.
Again, I don't feel great about it, but, I mean, they had a good experience with Stephon Diggs coming off of the serious knee injury, and he's older too. So, I would do it. I wouldn't let that stop me. I wouldn't get, again, a 1 isn't in the cards, but I would be open to trading a 3 and a player, or something a 3 and a 5 and a player, something like that.
He's still on the right side of 30, I'd say too, and to equate it to somebody who had a little bit of an injury history. He was already on his second team, a la A.J. Brown. 07, that offseason, get Randy Moss. Now, granted, we knew Randy Moss was a Hall of Famer and the type of receiver and a game breaker he was, but all the hamstring and the lingering stuff that he had and walking off the field over there and the malcontent that he was for the Raiders, it was not a sure thing. Obviously, we were very excited at the time, knowing that Brady, what he did with Gaffney and Caldwell and all them, to be sure. So I would be excited for A.J. Brown, to be sure. I am in your camp. Would you be content if the Patriots were done at this point? Because it's kind of this balance of, what is the approach going into the draft? If Philly is holding the gun to the head, pardon the analogy here, to try to save face for the June 1st deadline and trade them after the fact. What would be the approach for the draft if A.J. Brown is not dealt by them?
Best available player. Yeah. Would I love a top-end wide receiver, a stud at that position? Of course. I'd even take a guy like Tet McMillan, who we saw in Carolina this past year. I'd do that. But, look, there's a few different things in regards to what you just said, George, that are interesting. I was thinking of Joe Murray because of the postgame show.
George with a J.
Yeah. one of the things is it's the most important thing for the Patriots still is to reestablish themselves in the NFL draft. As much as I've liked what they've done in free agency and acquiring established NFL players in the last 2 years or dating back to last offseason, they still must reestablish themselves in the NFL draft. Last year was a good start. You got a lot of guys that contributed, a lot of guys that were able to be impactful, not necessarily impact players week in and week out, but make an impact enough where you don't have to deem them a bust. That's a good start. Now can you get a star? Now can you draft a stud? A true all-star level player. That's next. Can you do what Seattle did and the way that they drafted some of those guys? Really impact players, in the second and third and fourth round, that type of thing. Can you really have a deep, fruitful draft for another straight year, a second year in a row? That's the next thing. And I also think...
That's where I was going to credit this year's draft class and piggyback off of that.
You got to take it to another level, though. Travion Henderson, Kyle Williams doesn't really establish much yet. Will Campbell, not a bust. But now we need... I don't need Nate Solder this year. You know what I'm saying? I need Richard Seymour. I need Vince Wilfork. So I know that's a high bar.
What about Terry Glenn?
I need Terry Glenn. I need a team Hall of Fame level guy.
Right.
Maybe not a pro football Hall of Fame level guy. Team Hall of Fame. Edelman, Wilfork. Somebody that will one day be inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. That's the type of guy they need to draft. I don't know if any of these guys, maybe they will, depending on how high that bar goes over the years. Travion Henderson will get, maybe they'll be Patriots Hall of Famers one day. The door's not shut. But I'm talking about a guy that can go to a Pro Bowl, can make an all-pro team. Doesn't have to be a perennial all-pro player, but he can make 3 Pro Bowls and an all-pro team. That's the next type of guy they have to draft. That's what I'm looking for next. And the other thing, George, based on where this city has been, I do think it would be important, or maybe important's the wrong word, significant, if they were to go out and acquire A.J. Brown. That would be a big and splashy move. And I think that this city, this region,
clamoring for it,
could benefit from a big and splashy move again
now,
by any team.
I know you said you wouldn't move a first-round pick. Would you is 31 off the table if Philly wanted that?
Yes. No, I don't want
31.
A.J. Brown for 31. No.
I would view it as a second-round pick. So
yeah, that's fine, but I still wouldn't do it.
And then based off of like the Jalen Waddle package, which and then the DJ Moore stuff, just based off of the market value that is going for wide receivers around the league, I think A.J. Brown is personally better than all of them, to be sure.
Sure.
So I think that if Philly is looking at that and Roseman's like, I think I can sit on my dominoes here. But I don't think there's any bluffing or getting the LA Rams to kind of be the dark horse here for A.J. Brown's services.
No,
I think that's all BS. And posturing for the urgency here before the June 1st deadline. I think they're waiting for after June 1st, and then they're going to go balls to the wall to try to get rid of him in the couple months before OTAs and camp starts.
I just think it's vitally important for them to reestablish themselves drafting players. And it's not even so much I don't think A.J. Brown is worth the one, or as you called it. And the other thing I don't like about what you said, you're viewing number 31 as basically a second-round pick. Well, if that's the way you're viewing it, then you're viewing their second-round pick as virtually a third-round pick. Right. So now they have no picks in the first 2 rounds. So I don't like that.
It's tough.
They need to draft well.
Yes.
And I think drafting well will create momentum that they can use. So that's why as much as I would like to see A.J. Brown on this team, I don't think his presence on this team is more important than them reestablishing themselves drafting well, especially early on, especially at key positions of need. I think they need to draft well. So I want them to draft. This is not a player that I'm giving up a 1 for. If you want to have a conversation about that second round pick at the end of the second round, okay. I'd open my ears to that. I wouldn't hang up the phone. What I'd probably do if you're interested in A.J. Brown, if you're going to trade a pick. I might think about trading back in that second round, getting 2 third-round picks and trying to get a higher round third-round pick. Trade that for A.J. Brown, then get a later round third-round pick in the deal, and I don't know.
And what about attaching like a Douglas? Ideally, I'd like to, if they required a wide receiver, I would say Douglas would be higher on our list to get rid of. But what if they wanted Kayshon Boutte?
If they wanted Kayshon Boutte.
Along with the draft pick compensation.
Wouldn't love it. I would have to assess the draft pick compensation. I like Boutte. I don't want to get rid of Boutte, but I would do it. If that meant if the draft picks were where I wanted to be in terms of making the deal in that regard, and I had to get rid of Boutte, I would do that for sure. I can find another Kayshon Boutte. I like him. I would do it
too. He didn't get the separation that he needed, but I think that there's some growth that will come in time with him.
If it was a 3 and a 5, and I had to get rid of Boutte, I would do that for A.J. Brown
too. He reminds me of David Gibbons, to be sure.
Yeah,
if I'm looking for a comp.
Good player.
Solid.
I like him, but you can find another guy like that in the draft, in free agency. I mean, you can do that, especially with Dave Schoen. Jim is in Randolph. Hey, Jim.
How you doing?
What's up, man?
One thing you have to think about is, like, next year, their schedule is really tough, and I wouldn't go out and spend the money on Brown. It's go through the draft, because it's going to be a tough year next year, I believe.
So why wouldn't you want Brown?
So it's like,
why wouldn't you want a good player?
Come on, he's damaged goods.
Okay, so you think he's damaged goods and that the schedule is so hard, they're probably not going to be that good anyway. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the call. That's one perspective.
It's tough. I do hear that.
I don't hear that. Well, I'd rather go for it and go after it. I'm not interested in, hey, we're probably not going to be that good anyway, so let's not do it. No.
I do hear that there is going to be a little bit more of coming down to earth for the Patriots, to be sure. But I think that we should be attempting to try to be a good team. I mean, we made it to the Super Bowl. I mean, the Vrabel culture, I think, is a real thing. I think we should be looking to add to this team and not looking to, penny pinch or not invest in the team, to be sure, or not give up and look at this as like, oh, we'll kick the can for 27, or, we need to go now.
Especially before you have to pay Drake May. And we'll see what happens with Christian Gonzalez.
Agreed.
I'm on the record. I think they should trade him. My son really ripped me apart when I said that because that's his guy.
That's
and
right.
I love the player. I don't love the position and having to set the market or reset the market at that position. Nothing against Christian Gonzalez.
Your son knows well. He's playing. He's getting those user picks in Madden with Gonzalez.
Yes. All right. 617-779-0985. Can we take a break here? What do you want me to do, George? You want to do that?
Yeah, and then we'll kick. Looks like somebody in the Boston media has an alternative for the Patriots wide receiver.
Perfect. We'll do that. All right. Thanks. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Zone.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports. Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You believe in Mike Vrabel and his ability to reach players. Why not go after Brandon Ayuk? Whether that's a trade or you wait out for a release instead of A.J. Brown. I mean, Brandon Ayuk was a first-round draft pick. He was really good before his injuries. Obviously, you need to assess that. But I would be much more interested in trying that before I go for an A.J. Brown.
I miss talking to Greg. It's been too long. I disagree completely. I don't know what Brandon Ayuk is even capable of at this point. Would I take a flyer on him if it got so low and it was so easy to get? I guess. I would have no hopes, zero expectations, and that would really be that would not move any needle at all for me. Not now. I think the Patriots have enough B guys running around. Hollins, Dobbs, Douglas, Booty, B- to B+ level talent, which I'm okay with. I just think, it just kind of helps to have that top guy. I don't think you absolutely need it, but I think it helps. The Seahawks, even though he didn't do much in the Super Bowl, they had that guy all season. And Smith and the Jigba, obviously, some of those guys can be pretty valuable for a football team, and I just think it would benefit you if you could get a guy like that on your roster.
Would you be content with Romeo Dobbs being spoon-fed to us as the number one receiver for the Patriots?
So again, would I be content? Sure. Would it be exciting? Would I get no. I mean, I'd be content. I think they'd be fine, but now we're back in Red Sox land. Or whatever. They're going to be okay. I think the Sox will contend. They're going to contend. We'll get into that. I think they're going to be fine this year. But are you going for fine or are you going to go for a championship? I mean, we've seen it, George. Who has won the championships? The teams that draft well or the teams that are loaded? Or both?
Well, yeah, Rams are probably the outlier, but the teams that you have to draft well and have that veteran mix. So I agree. It starts with the draft. I think we're kind of like mid-90s Patriots where we need that 94, 95, 96 draft.
They're starving for that.
Yeah, and it starts with that 2025 draft. I think that it is a hit, but it's not as sexy as we want it to be with the big name players. We'll see with Henderson and Williams. It's a little bit reserved.
But let's be honest right now, George. Honestly, you just called that draft a hit.
Something to build off of.
Is something to build off of for sure. But is it a hit? I don't know. I still think there's a chance it could end up not a hit. It's just been 1 year. I mean, remember, Devin McCourty as a rookie was an awesome corner. He was an awesome cornerback as a rookie.
Yep.
And then it just kind of all went downhill. No, I still don't know to this day what happened. I've asked him about it off the record. Not in a negative way, but I said, do you remember in your rookie year when you were that awesome at cornerback? We just joked about it. Yeah. So I remember you kind of holding Calvin Johnson in check, even though he had 100 yards that day. He did not dominate the game that year on Thanksgiving Day because of Devin McCourty.
Probably the right move, though, by Belichick to get him into free safety, though.
And it worked out.
It worked.
But I'm just saying, we don't know. I mean, if Travion Henderson all of a sudden gets, becomes injury prone, and Will Campbell is never the same after the injury, I don't know. And Kyle Williams never really emerges. Who am I forgetting? Who's the other impact rookie?
We're left with Borregales.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with a guy like Craig Woodson?
Right, or Jared Wilson. And Woodson did play a bulk of the snaps.
Right, they were good. But, I mean, if they end up just whatever, guys, that's...
It's contingent on how the team does.
You still need to show a little bit more.
The jury's out on them.
Because Woodson could end up a Pro Bowl player, and then everything changes. That's different. But you can't just sit here and say, oh, yeah, they're fine. They're going to be...
They have to build off of it.
They got to build off of it. And those guys, it's not just they have to build off of it. Are you saying those players need to build off of their rookie season?
No, I think the Patriots need to build off of them to make them stand out as a success. Them as they stand, I think is okay. It's a thumbs up. It's a pass. But on a pass-fail scale, like kindergarten, first grade here, and not kind of grading them out. We would have to grade them out on a scale dependent on where the Patriots slot themselves playoff run-wise, in the division-wise, going forward.
they need to, the players themselves need to build off that rookie season for
That
this
as
to
well,
continue
too.
to be a hit.
We'll see if Campbell's given the chance to be the left tackle. We assume that Wilson is going to kick himself inside from left guard into be the center with Bradbury being traded to the Bears. So it'll be interesting what they do. I know that they made the move to sign Ver Tucker. So he'll most likely play in the left guard position, assuming that they don't make a splash at the left tackle position, and then things will get interesting then with Will Campbell.
Look, I like what they've done. I like their offseason a lot. Make no mistake, I like what they've done. I like Vrabel and his presence, obviously. I am 100% in on what they've done. Byard, the guys on the offensive line that you just mentioned, love it. Really do. I just think if you're talking about winning the Super Bowl, it has to come from the draft picks. And I don't know, you tell me. Just going back to that real quick, did anybody that they drafted, as positive as it was, can you sit here based on how they performed and say that guy is an absolute hit? He'll be a star.
Right. You're correct, too. They have to build off of it themselves. Henderson has a chance to be that game changer if he could be an every down back, eliminate injury concerns. He seems like he can catch out of the backfield.
Yes, it looks good.
We'll have to make sure he could be an every down back with the blocking and make sure he can do that in passing downs. But and then Kyle Williams, it's leaves a lot left to be desired. He kind of almost seems like a Bethel Johnson kind of like home run threat. So we'll see with him. I'm not too high on him.
He seems that way. It seems like.
I just think that he's going to be one of those take the top off the field, but like a fourth, fifth receiver.
I think he's going to be. See, nothing is what they've done.
Henderson, though, I do have a little bit more optimism. Though.
Yes, so do I. And if I had to bet, I would say yes, it looks pretty good, but it's not over the top. You mentioned the name Robert Edwards. Okay, I loved Robert Edwards in 1998. That was a guy, I think he did enough that year to tell me that guy's a hit. Now, I don't know how big and bad he's going to be. Now, obviously, it ended up devastatingly bad after that injury on the beach. But I'm saying, based on what he did, or Terry Glenn, that was a good, based on what he did as a rookie.
And went to the Super Bowl.
It was clear that guy was a baller. You just didn't know exactly how it was going to manifest itself, but that guy wasn't somebody that couldn't play. I don't think anybody, even Henderson, did that this past year, where it's like, we know that's a baller. It's just a matter of, can he? I mean, I would not be surprised. Again, I wouldn't bet on it. I liked Henderson this year. But if he ended up kind of out of, an injury and then a little lack of production, and then all of a sudden he's barely on the field, that wouldn't shock me. So I can't just sit here and say, oh, you got the next Terry Glenn. Forget about a guy like Rob Gronkowski or Aaron Hernandez or somebody like where you watch them play and you're like, oh, damn, that's a stud. We got a stud. I'm just talking about he was that good as a rookie where you can sign him up for the next 7 years. I don't know if anybody's getting another contract. Or even Deion Branch. I don't think Deion Branch was in this draft. I think Deion Branch definitely wasn't in this draft. So they still have more levels to go beyond before we can get to that point. 617-779-0985. We got to get a headlines. And we'll be back. We're going to talk some baseball, George. World Baseball Classic, Boston Red Sox, Major League Baseball. What's going to happen this year? The Baseball Hour returns this week. Is that right with Maz?
I think Wednesday.
Wednesday! And I think I'm on with Felger and Maz Wednesday. Baseball Hour Day.
Had to double check the schedule.
Okay.
That is correct.
Wednesday. All right, nice. Let's get a headlines. We'll be back. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Dutcher and Hardy, Owen Beetle, Felger and Maz, the Bruins, the Celtics, the Pats, the Revolution. This is Boston's home for sports. WBC FM at HD Boston, 98.5 The Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox gearing up for their season opener this week. Winding down spring training with a game against the Pirates, currently tied at 2 in the 8th inning. Yoshida, Abreu, a couple of the RBIs for the Sox. Celtics, they're going to host the Timberwolves tonight at TD Garden, 8 o'clock tip. Boston going for their 5th straight win. Grandy and Max will be on the call with pregame set for 7:30, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Bruins beat the Red Wings on Saturday 4-2. They'll be back on the ice Tuesday when they host the Leafs. The Revs fell to St. Louis on Saturday 3-1. And Syracuse basketball is working toward hiring Siena's Jerry McNamara as its next head coach. Jerry McNamara, the Syracuse legend, could be heading back to Cuse. That's according to sources associated with ESPN. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by DN Van Lines. Take the chance out of your move and make the sure bet with DN Van Lines, an approved mover of the Department of Defense. DNVanlines.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update around 4 o'clock.
Boston Talk Sports.
Trade Drake May. We all know what, but we won't say what. Yeah, worst take on these airwaves in the last 24 hours.
We may not take a call today.
The Sports Hub. No matter what team, no matter what player, no matter what coach, no matter what game, it all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I think the Boston Red Sox have won the World Baseball Classic in terms of the impact their players have made. Roman Anthony for Team USA. Jaron Duran hit 3 home runs for Mexico. Brian Bayo was dominant in his start for the Dominican Republic. And then look in the bullpen, what Garrett Whitlock has done, what Greg Weissert did for Team Italy.
Back to 98.5 The Sports Hub. One of the underrated rap songs of all time. Fred Durst did well on that track, man.
He certainly did. Yeah,
it wasn't Eminem, but that was a legit rap song. That song was legit.
I was into Method Man at that time too. That whole How High scene, him and Redman as a duo.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times. I saw him in college. He came to Bryant. Great show. That was a legit song. That was a rap song. That was good. And I know Fred Durst isn't going to get the love as a rapper. He wasn't a rapper, but that was a legit rap song. Okay.
Red Sox were together now.
World Baseball Classic. Great event. I knew it was going to be great. I love the World Baseball Classic. I talked about it before the tournament, and it lived up to every ounce of hype. You know, I wish, in a way, it's very unique. Because in no other sport could you ever imagine playing a game of that magnitude at that juncture on the sporting calendar. For example, could you imagine a football game, and I know this is out of this world, but a football game with Super Bowl type intensity in August, late August? I mean, that's just absurd.
That would be the worst example, right? Just because of the contact and the physicality.
Or I guess, basketball, they do the Summer Olympics and they play, but I don't know if the gold medal game and what Curry did against France was pretty sweet. That was pretty legit the last time. But it's not the World Baseball Classic.
Timing-wise, though, right? Or like NBA Cup, what they're doing with the random teams. They're doing that more in-season thing, but I couldn't imagine a world basketball event right before the season kind of tipping off. And to your point, right, maybe just the gold medal game, you might garner that feeling. But the way this tournament was, I thought it was beyond a success. It was spectacular.
I love it in March. I really enjoy it at that, especially right before the March Madness stuff gets going. I love timing. Where it is. However, if you wanted me to take over and take control of the whole World Baseball Classic,
let them know.
I would move it to July and around the All-Star. I would do what the NHL does. I think that works. I think guys would be more willing, Tarek Skubal, to not do what he did, which I despised.
Right. Half-assed it, and then they wasted a spot for Kershaw.
Yeah, I hated it. I think America is finally coming around. It took a little time, sort of, to understand the magnitude of this event. They want to be a part of it. Those guys want to be a part of it. Mike Trout, he almost had to have his arm twisted to join the team in 2023, but he finally did it, and it was good. The Americans need to want to be on this team. And I think now they do.
Yeah, and I'm glad the players
they do now.
The players showed it, and they got me believing. Now, would you want to do the whole tournament in the middle of the season, or just the semis and the finals in the middle of the season? How would you want to do that?
To be totally honest with you, I honestly don't think. Like, I know Italy did some nice things this year. I think you could do it the whole tournament with 6 teams. I don't think you need more than 6 teams.
Yeah, maybe do something interesting in the qualifiers if you want to make that happen.
Look, George, the Four Nations was a big hit, and that was 4 teams. Right. That was a big hit. I think you move it to July, you have 6 teams. Japan, the United States, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Cuba, Puerto Rico. Boom. Those 6 teams. Canada, okay. I mean, look.
Korea, Canada.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Chinese
you could
Taipei.
add more depending. I don't know what the rosters are like. I did see a clip from actually maybe put Canada on there. The Canadian team back in the day had some guys. They had like Justin Morneau and Jason Bay, and I know Larry Walker was from Canada. And I'm not a big fan. The Italian team was fun, but how many of those guys were actually from Italy? One?
No, yeah.
I mean, I don't like that. Yeah. I mean, I think they were legitimately waiting for Roman Anthony to not make the U.S. team, and they were going to give him everything he wanted and coffee and pasta or whatever
Espressos
to play for Team Italy. I don't like that as much. Or the Great Britain team or the Australia. Keep it to the countries where the guys that are on the team were actually born in the country.
Or citizenship.
Or their parents were born in that country. Right. Yes. I just gave you the 6. And, I just think what they did in the Four Nations, the way that hit, it worked with 4 teams. And Russia wasn't even involved in that, and that's like a hockey power. And I know there was some political aspects to that, obviously. But you could do it with 6 teams if you did, and then you put it in the middle of the season, maybe make it a little less, not as long. 6 teams, figure out a format, and boom, there's your World Baseball Classic. Because I do think the sport needs this. There's a cultural impact that is absent by and large in Major League Baseball when you see the World Baseball Classic. And it's beautiful for the game. Beautiful.
I agree, too. It showed off its popularity, which should be immense, right? The one thing I would say is you can't have the All-Star break be more than an actual week here. So I would think with just the week constraint, you can throw in a semifinal, a final, and then still have a home run derby and then an actual All-Star game. Where
Why can't you extend the break like they do in hockey?
It's tough because baseball's already a marathon with the 162. So they're already starting the season the last week of March, which I think is okay. But if we were to throw in a couple weeks, you have to imagine then the World Series is going to be played in November, and I'm just completely against that.
That's fine. Yeah, I am too. I don't have a problem with where it is. If you know you're going to be on the team, prioritize that. Figure out your whatever. And I mean, look, you might pitch a little bit more than you normally do. You might have to go out there for a game. It's not like you're throwing that much more.
It's the pitchers that is the concern, right? And Puerto Rico had insurance concerns as well. We didn't have the meat of our lineup with Francisco Lindor and Carlos Correa, who did want to play and participate for the tournament. So I understand the Mike Trout component as well.
And who was the guy, the World Series guy for the Dodgers?
Miguel Rojas?
He couldn't play either because of insurance. That's devastating. That's devastating.
Nuts, right?
You can't have. How can you not have Carlos Correa and Francisco Lindor not play for Puerto Rico?
Yes.
They need to be on that team.
So when Harais drops that
sucks.
Line drive up the middle, and then Italy scores 4 runs in the first inning. That opened the floodgates. I'm missing Lindor.
That can't happen. You cannot have that. That can't even be a consideration because Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, those are the big teams. And the other thing I love about this tournament that you don't get in hockey, and I love international hockey, the style of play when you combine, what the Americans do, which is sort of a hybrid, and then you watch the Japanese play and then the Latin American team, it's so different. The way the Japanese play versus the way Cuba play, it's so different. It's such a joy for anybody that loves baseball to watch. And I don't have a huge problem with the timing. If you want to do it in March and you got to get up for I think it's actually kind of funny where, some of these guys are playing World Series level intensity games and their teammate is playing some throwaway garbage thing down in Fort Myers in the Grapefruit League.
I tell you, those couple weeks I was not paying attention to the Red Sox.
No, who cares about it? You're watching what they're doing. Now, do I think that the whoever that was on the call, was that Davis or whoever was talking about the real winner was I don't think it's going to mean a damn thing for the regulars, for the Red Sox. But it was fun to watch their guys ball. and it was disappointing that the U.S. lost. Their lineup their offense went into the tank, which was tough to see.
Sad but so true. We do have a logjam of outfielders and only one DH spot, and sadly, Rafi Devers isn't going to be there to occupy that. So,
who are you talking about? The Red Sox?
I think, we have, what was it, like 5? The outfielders, and we showed up to the World Baseball Classic, which was great. I was tracking it the whole time. I was really into it, not just the games between Puerto Rico or the USA. I would want to find a spot for Yoshida, but to your point, that World Baseball Classic momentum and nationalism isn't going to carry over or mean a damn when it comes to 2026 Red Sox season.
Look, I think they're going to be all right. I think they're going to be good. I'm not excited about what they could do this year.
It did make me excited. It did.
I'm just watching what who's won the championship the last couple of years. I'm analyzing that blueprint. I'm looking at what the Red Sox team looked like the last time they won the championship. And I don't know. I'm interested in trying to win the championship. I guess it's just maybe the only place I would be considered wrong in terms of my approach or my viewpoint on it would be, hey, Mark, you're not enjoying the ride enough, or you're not. It doesn't always have to be about the championship, and I understand that. I just read Dan Hurley's book, the UConn head coach. And one of the guys, I forget if it was Gino Auriemma or one of his mentors was giving him some advice. He's like, if you're going to obsess over a championship every year, you'll burn out. You'll never do that. You'll never be able to sustain coaching, because in coaching, there's more rewarding things than just championships. That's a big part, winning, but there's also other considerations. I don't know if that applies for a fan.
I agree with you, though. Rather than riding the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows, I try to stay as even-keeled as possible. And part of the watching of the WBC and you get incensed with DR hitting a first-inning home run, and then, wow, they're going nuts. They're going crazy. Oh, they lose the game. So it's like, well, why are you getting this excited? So I always have to temper my emotions as well. I never get too high, especially when you kind of know that it's a marathon. You can't get too excited for those kind of first inning home runs or making the first score in a game. You got to kind of temper your emotions. Don't get too high, because ultimately in the end, right, what do you have? If you lost, you're burnt out. It was all for naught. So I'm with you.
I hear you.
You can't ride these ebbs and flows.
But I also
and be all the way up with the highs in the beginning parts of the. You got to wait to the end.
The beginning of, look. Well, first of all, I appreciate passion. That's why I like.
Right.
The fans,
I don't mind it.
They love the sport. That sport.
Not me though. I couldn't do it. First inning home runs, leadoff home runs. You can contain yourself for a second. Clap, slap hands. You can't dance. It's over with. You got to keep your mind in the game.
I see what you're saying. Sure. Yeah, if it was over the top for a first inning, okay.
Right.
I
Early
get it.
scores, kickoff for touchdown. Okay, that's great. Smile. Okay, you have to.
Are you talking about? Okay.
In anything in sport, and beginning of the season, good run, a sweep. Okay, that was great. Time to move on. What about the next series? So I have a hard time with staying in the moment or celebrating the moment, just because I can't get too high and ride the highs when I can see the valleys, coming up, or I'm always anticipating the valleys.
What's the most interesting part of this Red Sox season? What would make this season the ultimate success? I'm going to answer that question when we get back. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5, The Sports. Boston sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sport.
Okay, so here's the question. What would make this Red Sox season a success? And I'll tell you what the answer is. Show me the trade deadline. I'll show you what a success is.
Ooh, I love that answer.
That's what will be a success for me. For two reasons. Number one, how committed is the team? How committed is the front office? Is ownership? We always find that out. We seem to find that out at the trade deadline. Number two, that will tell me where they are in terms of contention. Are they in it? Are they leading the American League East? Are they trailing and trying to chase down the team that's leading the East? Are they right there in contention for a wild card spot, which is my guess? I mean, how they handle that part of the calendar will dictate to me how successful the season is.
Just love that answer, Mark. I'm very impressed because I think Cora has actually not gotten enough credit for getting this team to overachieve, to keep the team in contention. All these trade deadlines, even the ones where after the fact in the second half of the year they kind of tanked it or took a turn in the wrong direction, injuries, what have you. This team has not added at the trade deadline the way that we would or are accustomed to. Now, there shouldn't be any excuses. The Devers money's off the table. The Bregman money's off the table. You have a logjam at the outfield. You have a logjam of starting pitching. I'm almost disappointed that they didn't do enough this offseason, more of akin to the offseason of the last time they made the playoffs after the 2021 season, where in between the 21 and 22 seasons, you kind of didn't do anything to piggyback off of that. You let Schwarber walk, and there weren't the answers to kind of replenish the team. And then a year later, Bogarts was out the door for nothing. So it will be interesting to see where the Red Sox are. I have a little bit more optimism after the WBC. And we have a surplus of talent at multiple positions. So wherever there's going to be a void, if an injury happens or we're lacking at a certain position, we should be able to make the upgrade. And the trade deadline, I have no doubts that Cora will have us in the mix when it comes down to be that time. Knock on wood.
In the mix. I mean, I think they'll be in the mix. I don't love what they have for depth. I think, injuries are going to happen. Their whole middle infield has proven they're not very durable, which concerns me. I love what their pitching staff looks like right now.
Just about to ask you, what about their
I love it.
staff?
I love what it looks like right now.
They have variety. I would think that you would be able to do by competition and weed out what you want, really, and what either you're going to have to option or trade ultimately as being
I mean,
surplus.
they sort of. I know everybody was talking about Joe Kelly and all this, but they sort of did what I was hoping that they would do. Where is Brian Bayo going to fit into this rotation? Is he going to be a 3?
He should be. He should.
Not going to be higher than that.
He should be with the capability of being, he should be an upper top of the rotation kind of guy. I'm actually not sold on Sonny Gray. I didn't want him 10 years ago, so it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table this year. Ranger Suarez, supposedly he's going to have to ramp up. So the starting pitching actually is what they're rolling out to start the season. I'm not completely sold on. Interesting to see what they do with that fourth spot, with really the fifth starter. What they do with Tolle early. Who are they going to slot in there? I know Oviedo is the piece that we got from Pittsburgh that might be the de facto guy that makes it there to start the season.
This would be the best case scenario for me, pitching wise. Crochet, obviously you're talking about guys staying healthy and all that. If Garrett Crochet is your ace, and that's what you want. If Ranger Suarez can end up your legitimate number 2, I think that's the best case scenario. If Brian Bayo can end up your legitimate number 3 and pitch like a number 3, best case scenario. Number 4, give me whomever in terms of one of the young arms. Whether that's too. Peyton Tolle or what's the kid's name? Connerly Early. One of those guys. Slot into number 4.
He got to start the do or die game for the Yankees. Yeah, so
right. So get me one of those guys as
great spring too.
As much as you can. If you can get me one of those guys as your bona fide number 4, I would feel pretty good. And then I guess I would have Sonny Gray at 5. I'd like to say both of those young guys emerge where you have to get them in the rotation. But then the problem with that is, how many righties do you have? You want all lefties? I mean, Crochet, Suarez, Tolle, early. They're all lefties.
I think they're going to manipulate the service time, sadly. I think they did it with Marcelo Meyer last year, to be honest. I know that people are, he's injury riddled, or I believe Cora when he says he tried to come back, but he was only 3 plate appearances away from qualifying for that first year rookie. So to me, the timing of the wrist injury was just like, okay, that kind of came out of nowhere. And then to shelf him for the rest of the season was almost like foresight. Like we have to stash this guy and hold on to his service time for down the road, which is a typical Red Sox thing. I'm worried that they might hold Connolly early back when he looks ready, or Peyton Tolley. Any possibility of keeping them up in the bullpen, either as long relief or setup?
If they have major league talent, then put them on the major league roster and have them find a way for them to contribute. They're going to need it. They're going to need that depth because they're not going to have that depth in the – they'll have it in the outfield. I don't know if they'll have it in the infield. And obviously, if they don't have much star power, who are their stars positionally? Anthony.
Anthony is the stud, right?
Who's the star?
It's going back to the Nomar Pedro days.
Is Wilyer Abreu a star?
It could be budding.
Okay.
Yeah, it's – Duran has also that capability. I mean, All-Star Game MVP.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's. I like Duran. Duran.
If they all hit their potential, we will have a season, which is it's glaring because going into the season they didn't add to the team.
Look at the pitching staff. They're going to have a season. The question, George, is can they actually contend for the World Series? Okay, and you know that the attitude of the front office is contributing to the culture.
Right.
That's a factor.
It's a passive approach, which isn't welcoming. You want to pay the guys who for the hard work getting to the trade deadline and ultimately throw them a bone. You know
what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. It bleeds. It bleeds into everything that is the Red Sox all throughout the spring and then the summer.
Somebody's getting DFA'd and
look, they're going to be in contention, but then it's going to be you could really use a bat. They're not going to come out and dominate. They're going to be good. They'll be in content. They'll be right there. We're going to have a season.
Somebody will be on the IL, and they'll be preaching that as the addition for the return, right?
It's just natural. You're going to think about, what could you use to help? And then it's going to be the same thing. We're going to talk about, they could really use another arm because this guy got hurt, or another bat because this guy's not producing. Then the conversation on Felger and Maz and everywhere shifts to, what about this guy? What about that? And then it becomes, are they actually going to do it? Then when push comes to shove at the trade deadline, they don't do it. Then morale goes down. Then the team starts to go into a swoon. Then we all start to realize that, they're good, but they're not going to be good enough. And they may make the playoffs or they may not, and they'll end up bowing out in the first round or the wild card game, whatever it is, and then we're right back to where we started. That would be the trajectory. Right? That's it.
They have been the kings of interest, which does piss me off to hear that without end. It's
that's why I said the trade deadline is the determining factor of the success for this season.
I love that answer.
Because if you do something, even if you don't, if you can't convert, or by convert I mean you get a guy that puts you over the top, your actions
always bigger than the sum of the parts.
That's right. Thank you. We will be judging you on what you do in that moment because
relentless pursuit of winning.
I can't even listen to him.
I can't either. I want to believe him too. I think that it's all this smart talk. To be sure, it's all a way of kind of just skirting around issues. They don't spend the way that they used to, or the way that I'm accustomed to, is the way I'll put it. These trade deadlines this whole decade have been atrocious, and to your point, it's not adding to the camaraderie on the team. It sends the wrong message that we're going to kick the can down the line. We've always moved these goalposts as well. For the longest time, 2025 was the year, and then the trade deadline happened. It really didn't get the investment that we wanted. This offseason happened after they made it to the playoffs after 4-year hiatus. This offseason leaves a little bit more to be desired, in my opinion. But they did address the starting staff, which is good. They didn't address the loss of Devers and Bregman enough for my liking, and you still have a logjam in the outfield and too many starters for my liking.
But you can't just do one thing and leave 3 other things undone. That's not good enough. You can't do it. Just because you fortified the rotation, if you need some bat, you got to go get the bat. That's what the winningest teams do. That's what the teams that win the championship do.
We failed to reach that alignment.
That's what you have to do. I don't understand why. And I'm just assuming that it's going to be the same situation. Come July 31st or August, whatever it is, morale will take a hit. And, they'll feel. And by the way, Alex Cora has been guilty of this, not so much recently. I think he's figured it out a little bit. But go back 2-3 years when Xander Bogaerts was here. I think he was a big reason why the team went in the tank, his attitude and his mentality. And guys feed off of that.
Right. I'll defend him, though, to the grave, though. I love him. I think he gets the team to overachieve. He's definitely a top-tier manager in the game. I actually worried about him getting cut loose a couple years ago because it was around the time that Boone was up. And if Cora was going to be a free birdie, I think that the Yankees would have scooped him up. That would have been my worst nightmare.
I am an Alex Cora fan as well. I think he's been really good. I like the way he's managed in games for the most part, handles the locker room, the clubhouse, all that. But I'm not even telling I blame him for being mopey or whatever it was. But I mean, I'm just saying that's an attitude that would rub off on some of the leaders, the players, and that has to be a factor. I just feel like
better poker face.
You hear it. You hear it. The fans,
shots. Yes.
The media will start to present those types of problems and highlight those types of issues because you're not doing what you need to do to win. And it'll be the same thing over and over. I mean, it won't be a problem if you just suck and you're not in contention. That's not a good situation, though.
Right.
So I guess that's not a problem, but then you got a bunch of other problems. And the chances that they're just so dominant where they don't really need to add, are we really thinking that that's – I mean, we saw what Cedar Rafaela did last year around, what was it, June, July? That's not enough either because we know the guy has limitations. They don't have a roster where you can just say, hey, we got enough. We don't need any more. I mean, if you want to load up in the offseason like the Dodgers do and you're not going to go get a big guy at the deadline, okay. That's fine. You get a supplemental piece at the deadline.
I have some questions for you. Maybe we'll do it on the other side.
Let's do it on the other side. We're going to take a quick break.
In terms of the lineup.
I love it. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero here, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I do think that there is a real chance that at the end of the season, we're looking back and we've won more games than we otherwise would have.
Boston's home for sports. 98. Hub. In this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Any more decisions or cuts or anything?
Yeah, Marcelo's going to be our second baseman. I talked to him today. He did an amazing job. In the offseason, I think, like I told him, he caught my attention. He's always been a good player, but he actually did an amazing job putting himself in the conversation to play in October last year after his surgery. You don't see that often, especially with young guys, right? And him and Kiyoshi and the group, JJ in the training room, they push hard, and he was about to start taking swings. You know how realistic it was for him to play, I don't know, but I saw him on a daily basis pushing forward, and that caught my attention. The offseason was great. With him, it's going to take time to see him, grow into a big dude because he's so tall and lanky, right? But he's stronger now. He can play second. He'll play short. He can play third. We'll protect him against lefties. I talked to him about it. I know he wants to, and he will. He will at one point. When, we don't know, right? Just a good defender, a good player, and I'm excited about him.
That was Alex Cora, 617-779-0985. I think I bit the side of my mouth. Sorry, George. I'm fine.
It happens. I had braces once upon a time, so I know all about those quirky things.
Yeah. I'm excited, too. I want to see Marcelo Meyer out there every day. He's got a smooth swing. I'm optimistic about the chances that he could become a player that I'd be positive about.
Do you think Cora was serious about ever benching him or optioning him starting in Worcester or anything like that?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, they brought up Christian Campbell, and now he's been isolated back down to wherever he is now. I don't even know where he is. He in Worcester?
Exiled.
Yeah. So, I appreciate them trying to earn, you have to earn it. You want to, that's what it's all about. But at the same time, we've heard about these guys for a long time. I need to see them produce.
What are your expectations for Marcelo Meyer, ideally? Are you expecting him to platoon against lefties like Cora had said? Looks like they're going to try to protect him to start the season. And how would you really approach the lineup with left-handed pitching and platooning, specifically with guys like Mayer and plethora of left-handed hitting outfielders? I like to think for the outfielders to dive in that they're kind of going to rotate those guys and platoon them all a little bit and give them blows where need be. But Meyer is an interesting one because I would think that he I don't know if Monasterio is going to be, they played a lot with Eaton and Sogard. So I don't know if they're going to get a chance to kind of play second base and or the mix with Durbin. I would like to keep Durbin over there third base. So be interesting. What do you think that they'll do with lefties and Meyer?
Can Meyer be an everyday second baseman?
I think he can.
Okay, that would be the best case scenario. Because if you're talking about him becoming some star, I do not have that type of hope. Look at was he 214?
He has
with
the
8
body.
strikeouts and 8 walks. His strikeout to walk ratio is not good. His average has never been good. He's got a nice smooth swing, so when he does make contact,
looks pretty.
It looks good when he does make contact. But there's the question about, can he hit lefties? I just think that's too many, factors going against him. There's too many things that are question marks associated with his game for me to feel that good. So I think if he can play himself into being a legitimate, everyday second baseman, I'll give you a name. This guy was before my time for the most part, but Jody Reed, did he play every day? Was he the starting? He's way before your time.
Yeah, no, I have to think that he wasn't as highly touted coming out of the draft.
No, he wasn't. But I'm just saying, can he get to a point where you can be the bona fide? I'll give you. Here's a better name from the same era, a little later. The absolute ceiling I could see would be Joey Cora. Do you remember Joey, Alex's brother?
Yeah.
Joey Cora. that would be the best. He played for the Seattle Mariners. I think he's a one-time All-Star.
He didn't hit home runs, though. I would expect Meyer to hit at least over a dozen home runs a year.
Okay,
so
but I'm talking about impact. I'm not talking about the style.
Just to play every day.
Just to play. Like he was their he was the Mariners' second baseman.
Right.
And one year he went to the All-Star game in '97 or whatever.
Yep.
And he was a bona fide part of that team. Was he a star? No, he wasn't a star necessarily. Was he a game changer? No. But you knew he was going to be the second baseman. There wasn't a question mark every year, spring training. Who's the guy? If he could become that, I would be happy.
I'm researching now. I want to say that Joey Cora was a switch hitter, to be sure.
I think he was just a lefty, but he could have been switch. I don't remember. I thought he was just a lefty.
No. Yeah, he batted both. Yeah. No, so my memory serves me right there.
He's a switch?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's tough because you have to take the training wheels off at some point, and I think that it would be more inviting, especially with the Romy Gonzalez injury, which I wanted to point out to you. He's on the 60-day deal now.
Yep.
So I have to imagine that those opportunities are going to be more time spent there than not, where you have to start Meyer against these left-handed pitchers. So I'll be interested to see how he progresses throughout the year. I think his calling card would be how he bats in those situations against lefties. If he can make himself more of Devers after his first couple years, no longer platooning. It'd be interesting to see if Abreu can break out of that this year, because we have too many lefty outfielders, just about all of them. So some of them are going to have to be playing against lefties. If we get a set lineup, it'll be interesting to see if Anthony, Abreu, and Duran, which one kind of can ascend there. And then Yoshida's a big wild card, because there really isn't a spot in the lineup for Yoshida out of this logjam. Do you have a spot carved out for Yoshida, or how are you situating the outfield, the DH position, the second base position? How are you kind of carving? Dividing the Red Sox here.
Again, best available. I for years have wanted Yoshida to have some type of role, but it just doesn't fit. Look, I like the Red Sox lineup. I like it. I worry about depth, and I worry about real, the big clout type of boppers. I don't know if they, and I'm still uncomfortable with your best hitter batting leadoff. That's an analytically driven move that I don't like.
I'm so with you right there, too. Wouldn't it make sense to put him at the number 3 hole and have an opportunity to have batters on base?
Yes.
I would think that it used to be a consensus, your best hitter number 3. I don't know what happened to the analytic world where you want to get your best guy up and see the most pitches, maybe, and if that's going to be a driving factor. No, but you need your best hitter batting third or cleanup with guys an opportunity to come up and bat, so you can bat them in. So I don't want to have 24 home runs and 50 RBIs to start. I don't want stats like that.
This is the problem. So when I look at the Red Sox, if you're going to talk about like a projected lineup or whatever, rotation, I look at them and I say to myself, it's similar to what before the World Baseball Final, I looked at, because I didn't watch much of Venezuela. So I
downloaded Tubi and everything. I'm
going to look at their lineup. And I look at their lineup. I wasn't worried about their pitching because it was one game. But I'm looking at their lineup, and it's,
Major Leaguers.
Major Leaguers. And it's like, that's a legit lineup for the World Baseball Classic. There are no imposters there. They are legitimate Major League players. Some guys above average Major League players, obviously. That's kind of how I view the Red Sox. Now, Major League Baseball, 162 games, I don't know if that's enough, especially if you're the Boston Red Sox, where you have the option to get some of the guys be more Dodger-esque. But I view them like I viewed Venezuela. Now, the problem for the Red Sox, when they get into the playoffs, it's usually a 7-game series, or a series, not always a 7-game series. The LCS and the World Series, obviously, 7-game series. But it's a series, so you can't just win one game. You have to win multiple games. And again, the Red Sox. So should I feel like this? I don't think I should feel like this underdog where it's, hey, it's actually pretty good. I don't want to feel like that as a Red Sox fan, even though it is. The lineup and who they've got rolled out there for opening day, at least, is actually pretty good. But it should be awesome. It should be no doubt very good with the Boston Red Sox and all the financial resources that you have and the money you could spend. That should not be my approach, even though I do think it's pretty good. When you look at Roman Anthony and Story, if he could stay healthy, and guys like Meyer, who's going to be probably in the 7th hole, 8th hole, somewhere down at the bottom. Carlos Narvaez, if he's catching. Nice player, put him at the bottom of the order.
What are your opinions on Wilson Contreras playing first base and taking the majority of the
good
pitches there?
I'm not a fan of the other guy, Tristan Casas. Absolutely not. Give me Wilson Contreras.
And this is where I'm conflicted too, because I'm with you. Tristan Casas, I can't really stand. I actually think that he contributed so badly to being an oaf and tripping himself to getting that knee injury to begin with. But
Who are you talking about? Contreras?
Casas. When he tripped himself.
Well, he lumbered swinging. I know that happened to Anthony too.
He went lunging for the bag and landed awkwardly, and then he tripped himself and then landed on the off knee or whatever and kind of just tumbled. I was like, oh, that looked so bad.
I don't know if that's a guy you like.
I'm rooting for him though. See that's where I'm conflicted. I'm rooting for that success story for Tristan Casas to come back. Maybe even be a contender to give the Red Sox a blow if Contreras were to miss some time, and maybe compete for that job, and then be an asset so he can be flipped and we won't have to worry about him again. But yeah, Casas.
Could be a depth piece for them.
And just being a fan of the team, if he hits what he did in 23 in that half a season. He has bop to him. I don't really like his glove, so whatever there. But if he can hit those power numbers and be a thumper in the lineup, that would be a welcome sign.
Here's another thing, and I know it's a lot to put on the young man. What type of season does Roman Anthony have? He's your star. He's your dude. If we're talking about an MVP level talent right now, which obviously he probably is that, but if he can, Drake May. If he can approximate MVP production a la Drake May, I don't care.
I know.
I think it's a different. I don't know why it's a big deal.
It changes the outlook on the Red Sox.
Player approximating MVP production doesn't matter what sport.
Right.
That impacts the team no matter what sport. If he could approximate MVP level production, I think that changes his season.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, he's struggled, he's injury, he's out, he's in, he's out. Like
I agree too. It's more likelier than not if Roman Anthony is an MVP candidate, it means that your team is ascending and doing well, rather than the 1 through 9 behind Anthony is not doing so well, and he just kind of is the only face of the team. A la when we had just Nomar in the back end of the 90s, leading into the early 2000s before Manny, and just Pedro with Crochet.
It's a good. It does kind of remind me of a 90s lineup. It does kind of remind me of that, where it's, hey, you get some guys, they're going to be good enough, but
right. But is it good enough? Good enough? I'm still not over the Phantom tag though. Chuck Knobloch on Jose Offerman.
Oh gosh,
get out of here with that.
Where
was replay?
That was going to be a tall task to win that series, though.
It was. We were only winning the games where Pedro started back then. So,
it reminds me of that. You got Mo Vaughn. You got John Valentin, and now you got Milmar. But you didn't have.
We lost Mo Vaughn, right?
Yeah, you didn't have anything, and then you
it.
lose Mo Vaughn, and you don't really replace Mo Vaughn. So when Nomar 98, 99, or whatever it was, 99,
top 5 MVP,
whatever. Yeah. So it was just you need. When they won, they had who'd they have? They had Tatum and Brown. They had Ortiz and Nomar. You had Ortiz and Manny. That was the foundation to go with Pedro, and then you get Schilling. That's why they won. Big signings. Schilling, Manny, then Ortiz worked out fine. And then you could have all your guys come into their own, the Veritex and,
Derek
the guys
Lowe.
that have been in the program for a while, Derek Lowe. Yeah, that's when it works. But you had Manny, you had Pedro at the height of their powers, and then you got lucky or whatever. You had David Ortiz.
I wish that they would get back to that. It's sad that they're trying to kind of do the spin of like spending where they do spend, and they do spend towards the top half of the league, but it's like relative to 10 years ago, it's roughly the same. So it's just like, to me, it's just like, no, you're not really moving the needle. You're not really going after these guys with aggression the way you used to.
It's a 90s lineup. They're going to be good. They'll make that playoffs. But back then, expectations were different. Okay, and some of those things, it
was a miracle that they made the playoffs.
That's right. It was just good to see them in the playoffs.
Because now half the league makes the playoffs.
Again, this is the problem is the way this specific ownership group, the way they used to be versus what they're. That's why all the negativity exists. You know, if they were just trying to figure it out like they were back then, we would all sit here and say, hey, they're trying to figure it out. You know, like we wouldn't be as ornery about the whole thing.
Correct.
But we saw how they used to operate juxtaposed to now how they operate. That's why we know what it takes, and they're not willing to do it.
Whining and dining the Kurt Schillings of the world. That's right.
So back in the day, Wilson Contreras might have been a very exciting move. You know, obviously,
Alonso,
Ranger Suarez would have been a very exciting move.
He's the B plus Pete Alonso, but I do have high expectations for Wilson Contreras. I did watch him a little bit for Venezuela. He does have some pop, but it'll be interesting to see if he can play the whole season. Venezuela didn't. They platooned him, so I don't know what to say about that.
I went too long. I'm sorry.
You're perfect.
Long. Let's go to break. I was just going to say, you know who's a nice player for the Red Sox? Brian Daubach. You remember Brian Daubach? Nice player.
Out of the Players Association.
He came up with some big hits. Was he not in the video games?
He was not.
Okay. He came up with some big hits. He made it to the major leagues late, but he was a professional hitter for them. Had some good years for them. They won nothing with him. I feel like there's a few Brian Daubachs on this roster. Like it's a Brian Daubach type of roster. Some good players that you like. But is it, Manny, the world-class type of guys that, Ohtani, that get you over the hump you need to get over?
We signed Johnny Damon, Bill Miller. We were into
That's
it.
right, Damon. That was the other one. Damon was a big signing.
Into it.
Damon, Schilling, Manny, Ortiz, Miller.
Millar, when we got him, right?
Yeah, I don't know how celebrated Millar was, but Damon, that was the one I was forgetting. Damon was a big signing. He was good in Kansas City.
Yes, and in Oakland, yes.
In Oakland, that's right. He was big signing when they got him.
Yep.
You're missing some of that.
I missed
That's
those
what you're
days.
missing. You're missing that. Okay. I have a Celtics thought we're going to get to. We can circle back on some of the Patriots off-season work. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The from the Town Fair Tire Studio, this is
strong finger all up and go.
This is home of the 18-time world champion Boston Celtics. WBC-FM and HD Boston 98.5. The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox wrapping up their spring training, or coming down to the wire in spring training. They took on the Pirates this afternoon, getting set for their opening day game this week. Can't come soon enough, especially after a long spring training. And this afternoon, Sox, they beat the Pirates 6-3. As again, regular season. And the baseball hour with Maz looming this week. Celtics, they're going to host the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight at TD Garden. Boston going for their 5th straight. Grady and Max will be on the call with pregame set for 7:30, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Bruins beat the Red Wings on Saturday 4-2, the final. They'll be back on the ice Tuesday night when they host the Leafs. Revs fell to St. Louis 3-1 in Syracuse. Basketball is working towards hiring Siena's Jerry McNamara, the former Syracuse legend, as their next head coach. That's according to sources near ESPN. Sports Hub headlines brought to you by Super Service Today. Super Service Today has the rapid snow melt caused your basement to take on water. Call Super Service Today for an immediate basement protection inspection. Their trained technicians will find a cost-effective solution to keep your home safe and your basement dry. Guaranteed. Day or night, and always done right. Contact superservicetoday.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Diving effort. He's got a breakaway. Throws it in. Draw coming to the spot.
The Sports Hub. When it comes to Boston sports, we're fans just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Before the game, Joe talked about how your leadership style has involved really getting to know your teammates and kind of learning what makes them tick. What was that process like for you this season? Was it something that you had thought about that you're going to start doing more intentionally? How did that come to be?
Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot about each and every one of our guys, even down to astrology, even down to everything. I learned kind of communication styles that work best for each individual, and started utilizing that when I speak to each and every guy. So it definitely, I didn't know if it would work before the season started, but that stuff definitely works.
All right, back here 95 The Sports Hub. That was Jaylen Brown. A couple things. Look, the Celtics, we'll see what happens come playoff time. I'm excited for their playoff scenario to play out. I think it could be very interesting. I think it will be very interesting. The question will be, where is Tatum's at? What's their approach? And I think their approach will be what holds them back. But in terms of Jaylen Brown, look, do I subscribe to all of that stuff? No. I mean, I'm not trying to dismiss it. Do I think you sound kind of silly? I guess I don't know enough about it, so I'm not going to just, ferociously judge the guy without knowing more. What I will say is I'm for it. If that's a technique that Jaylen Brown wants to use to get to know his teammates better or to lead, I'm for it. Okay? Do I agree with it? Not necessarily. I don't know anything about it. If some people might think you sound like a loony, okay. But if Jaylen Brown is interested in leading and finding ways to lead, I'm for that. Go look at what Phil Jackson did over the years. He had weird methods and, Zen master and all these different things he used to do. His book, 11 Rings, is excellent. And there were a lot of things and techniques and philosophies that he put in play that I don't know if anybody was doing at the time. Some people probably thought he was a little nuts. I'm just saying it worked for him. And if that's what Jaylen Brown wants to do to connect with his teammates, good. Lead the way you feel applicable. So I don't ever, even though it does sound kind of off the beaten path or a little loony, when you hear him say it, I'm for it, and I don't mind it. So that, that's all I wanted. I don't know how that, I don't even know what my communication style is. Do you know what yours is? Like, I don't know how, if somebody yells at me, if somebody.
I have thick skin. My preparation style is to over prepare. So that in terms of communication, right, I'm going to throw a whole bunch of crap against the wall, and whatever sticks. I'll try to be observant to it and try not to ever poke the bear and exceed the bounds. And as a producer, pre-producing, right, and reeling you guys in, just knowing all you guys' personality and what to expect from each, to each his own. So kind of just being an observant, onlooker.
Knowing the personality, I think, is different than knowing the communication style.
It's tough because I think that's what Jaylen Brown's trying to allude to. Like, he's doing all these different things, and I don't. Anybody that mentions astrology to me, I'm just out on.
I'm out. I don't know what that means. It's
I'm
like the Tom
you
Cruise
out.
thing. I don't know.
When I'm born on January the 20th, like I had seen horoscopes where I was in Aquarius, and then all of a sudden I'm on the last day of Capricorn. What does that mean? Now I look at both horoscopes. What is this crap?
No.
So yeah, to me it's more of a female thing to talk like that. Like save the Miss Cleo stuff for Miss Cleo and the 1-900 numbers. It's you're not really making sense or going eye to eye to me if you're talking like, hey, I'm rubbing crystal balls and like this is bad luck or bad, like, no, you're that's silly nonsense. So now hopefully he's just a little bit more of looking in the eyes and if he's using that as kind of like a gauge and barometer, so be it. It's just like you don't need to express that to me or the world or stop streaming.
I respect the effort. I don't know how much of an impact it's going to make, but I like that he's trying whatever he feels like he could use to help him. JP and NP wants to chime in on our Red Sox conversation. Hey, JP.
Mark, it's been a minute. You know what your style is? And it could be a great T-shirt. Bring in the passion. You communicate with passion. You're not always appreciated. And, man, when I hear some of the callers and all this stuff, and you did a whole season with Joe Murray, and you know how loved Joe is, but you held your own, brought the passion, that's what you bring.
I appreciate you.
No, always, Mark, from way back. Listen, Phil Jackson, you're saying he's kind of nutty coach. Boy, does that sound familiar. I think we have kind of a nutty coach, but it works with this team.
It's a good point. That's a good point.
You killer whales in that, but you made me think of something. You're talking Red Sox and Johnny Damon and that. You know who I'd love to see at third base? My favorite from that era, Mike Lowell. That guy had stones, beats cancer, hits home runs, doesn't say a word, class guy. Boy, could I use him at third base.
Well said. I appreciate the call. JP, always good to hear from him. Mike Lowell was a great player. That 07 team, again, Beckett, Lowell, I mean, they went out and got guys.
MVP.
Now, you still had the core. You had your homegrown guys who emerged. That was probably Kevin Youkilis's best run there with the Red Sox. I think it was 07.
Yeah, you still had Manny Ortiz.
You had Manny Ortiz. You had Schilling, who was a little bit more. He wasn't the guy that he was in 04, but he was still contributing.
Stones.
Right. So
J.D. Drew was a solid piece there.
J.D. Drew was a big time. See, that's a perfect example. J.D. Drew, perfect example.
And signing him.
But that's baseball, okay? You had a guy that was very highly touted that you signed for, I don't remember the contract, a lot of money. He really had a very disappointing year. But eventually, that talent shined through, and Fausto Carmona had one of the biggest hits of that season. Okay, that's baseball. So that's why it's dangerous relying on a guy like Ceddanne Rafaela, as good as he might have been in July.
And he misses breaking balls too much.
You know it's coming back, and you need to overcompensate in order to have. I mean, they laughed at me on Felgren Mass, but when I made the analogy about like a budget, that's baseball. You can't, just because you pay $2,000 a month and bring home $2,500, that doesn't mean you have enough. Like, that's what the Red Sox have. Well, they got more than they spend. All right, well, but you need more because other stuff comes up. And that's why you go out and sign the talented players and get depth. And I just don't think they have enough. Matt is in Rhode Island. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Mark. I'm a huge Jaylen Brown fan. He's really exhausting me with this stuff. It's just not even like the astrology. It's like, I figured out how to communicate with these guys. I'm so proud of myself. I still think he's the leader of this team. Also, I really like them to chase down obviously the first seed because that's going to mean that they don't have to play the Knicks and Detroit. And just lastly, I'll leave you with this: the team I don't want to see is Charlotte. I really don't care about any of these other teams. I mean, maybe New York a little bit, but Charlotte, if they continue to play well, they could be a problem on the lower end of the playoffs.
That's interesting. I would love to see another series with New York. The Knicks, I love the Knicks, Celtics, New York, but I love it. I do think that it would put I would love to see how the Celtics respond. I know Tatum hasn't played. He's working his way back. He's not 100%, all of the above. I would love to see how the Boston Celtics, even though it's a kind of different iteration of the Celtics and not the team that won the championship, how the organization and their core would respond after the embarrassment of last spring. Embarrassment. To go out the way they did as defending champions, to go out the way they went out. Embarrassment. I would love for them to get a chance to respond to that against the Knicks.
And waiting not mince words and calling it an embarrassment because that is not hyperbolic. And to me, it was a fireable offense. I'm glad that Mazzulla is able to turn it around. This year definitely was, his calling card or gauge, a barometer going into Tatumless into this season. I'm happy that Mazzulla's been up to the task and pushing the right buttons. He seems like the right coach for this team. I will allow for him to grow into the team and be continually improving the way Eric Spoelstra did to kind of put a young coach analogy from the past, this millennium at least. The Celtics' path, I think it's highly unlikely that they'll catch the Pistons, even though they're Cade Cunningham-less at the moment.
Yeah.
4 games behind, a couple weeks left in the season. I don't think that they have enough. I think the Pistons have a tiebreaker listening to Forsberg yesterday on Gasper and Murray. So the first round matchup, I'm not too worried about the Hornets. I actually would welcome that draw. Philly would be the kind of like, I want to avoid them to be sure. Now, we've always had their number, so it sounds silly, but I mean, the Celtics, I want the path of least resistance to have a cop-out here, but it will be interesting to see the Knicks in the second round. Where it stands pans out, it would be the Knicks in the second round, and that would be that's box office.
Yeah.
And we need redemption to be sure, because last year was just such a debacle, blowing 2 20-point leads. It should have been 3-0 Celtics the other way. So I couldn't believe what was happening last year, and coming off as defending NBA champions to lose to the Knicks like that, and have to talk to my cousins over there in New York and have them be all family all in the Bronx. So the Yankees, Knicks, Giants. Oh, you can tell me about that.
Listen, I'm similar to the Red Sox. It's not even so much about winning. Like I was saying about the Red Sox and what they do at the trade deadline, and that's really what's going to dictate how I feel about the season. The Celtics, it's not really even about winning because Tatum hasn't been around. I understand it's a it's a tough task for him to come back and lead them in the playoffs and do all these things that they're going to need the star player to do to succeed. How do you play? And do you look that was such an embarrassment the way that it ended, and you looked like you kind of rolled over and you lost the big leads and you lost the close games. And can you change any of that?
It's the chucking up the threes
for
me.
Of course it is.
Kills it for me.
So I made a mistake, and I've admitted it. I thought initially that the Celtics' inability to win some of the games that I wanted them to win and to, have some of the success I wanted them to have in close games wasn't because of three-point shooting, because I thought they still defended. So I didn't see them as the mid-2000s Phoenix Suns with Mike D'Antoni or the Rockets. No, they were a team that, they shot a lot of threes, but they defended.
Yeah.
But I was wrong.
Yeah, no, to me, it just taking the open shot to be open, just because you're playing ring around the rosy, and you'll see it, and this on both ends of the court, too. Watching the Grizzly game the other day, they were both like 25 threes apiece with minutes to go in the first half. I'm just like, I can't watch this. It's just, nobody cuts to the basket. Nobody plays inside the key. All 5 guys are just right around the arc. I call it ring around the rosy, and they play hot potato until they get a guy who has 6 feet of space, and then they'll shoot it, and then they'll defend that shot. Now those things, the analytics can't equate for a tired Al Horford in the fourth quarter, or somebody who's missed who's 1 for 10 from the field. They can't account for that. So it's to me, it's yes, 3 points is worth more than 2. It's just I've never gotten that style. It puts me off. And if you're shooting over 50 of them a game, it's just like that is literally half of the game. Half of your possessions are 3-point shots.
Correct.
And my biggest pet peeve is dribbling the ball incessantly, not passing the ball, and setting yourself up for a 3 without passing the ball. Have it come off of an assist at least. I won't mind it. And maybe we can play with, okay, that's an open shot, that's a good shot, but you can't just keep shooting it for the sake of shooting it, especially thinking that you're going to shoot your way out of it like NBA Jam.
George, I just think the reason they've struggled is because they shoot so many threes. Admittedly, that's part of their culture, their makeup, their identity. That's the word I'm looking
for.
Their philosophy. And it's such an important and integral part of what they do. They play all game, run and gun, and they want to play that high octane, get a bunch of shots, get a bunch of threes up. The problem, I think what happens is, and I've never heard Joe Mazzulla ask this. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe he's never. I don't know. They get into a close game late, where everything slows down, where you probably don't need a 3 or aren't going for a 3 or whatever. And what happens is I feel like because that's what that situation dictates, it feels so different than what they do all game, every other part of the game. They're naturally feeling out of place. And that's why their struggles come to the forefront, because they're just not used. Their whole DNA centers around shooting the 3 and finding the open shot at the 3-point line and the volume of threes. So then when you get into a slow it down, half court game on the line, have to have a bucket situation, which is
what to do.
They don't know. They don't feel comfortable.
Right,
that's not their DNA.
And we'll get to this on the other side too. Now, end of the game situation. Who do we want the ball? Who do we trust to have the ball? But I'll ask you just a generic question. Who in the East scares you, and who in the NBA scares you for the Celtics?
617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports.
Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Inbound comes to Derek White. They will not foul. The clock hits triple zeros, and there was nothing pretty about this game for the first 40 minutes. But the Celtics, who have dominated the Eastern Conference over the last 3 months, finally found it in the final 8 minutes, and it was enough to come from behind and leave Memphis, Tennessee with their 47th win of the year. The final score, Boston 117, Memphis 112.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. We're talking some Celtics. We were talking Red Sox. Let's go back to the phones, and Dan is in Rhode Island. Danny?
Marcus, how are
Good
you?
to hear from you. How are you?
You hear a lot of familiar voices in the last run of calls there.
It's great. I know.
You know, we got nowhere else to go, so you know how that. You made the right career choice, my friend.
All right.
And you're doing well. So I can't bring anything about basketball. Sorry. But I was down in Sarasota a couple of weeks ago. I actually got back. You know, it just seems like there's a different vibe down there this year. I think, and I'm going to try to be optimistic about this part of it, I think that they want to see what they got with the young dudes, all right? Because there are a lot of them. And I'm hoping, now here's the hope, there's going to be holes that need to be filled, like there always is. Almost every team has that. And I think by July, the hope is, and I think they still have some ammo to get what they need, they certainly have the money, that they will go out and swing big at the All-Star break by the trading deadline. That's just my hope. But
big hope.
It's a big hope, and it hasn't changed in the last God knows how many years. But this has got championship DNA if the pitching's right and the offense is there. It's just a matter of, A, staying healthy for one, but B, there will be bats available at the trading deadline. It's just whether or not they're going to go get them if they really need them. That's all.
All right, good to hear from you, Danny. Listen, Dan is right. Again, though, it's the combination. I want to make sure I'm being clear on this. It's not just it's the combination of do they plug the hole and does the lack of activity, if that's what happens, filter into the clubhouse. That's the double whammy that could appear once again at the trade deadline, and that's what they need to avoid. Okay, so even if they don't get the biggest name on the market, can you do enough to attempt to fill whatever hole there is? And as Dan said, there's going to be some hole. This is not going to be a perfect team in the middle of the end of July, beginning of August. Can you approximate the need with a deal to fill that hole? And is it going to be enough to negate any negativity that could swirl at that time? Because I do think that affects the team. Not just the media, not just Maz, the team. The players, the manager, the team. The people that actually matter in terms of wins and losses. I do think that does affect people.
Aside from the trade deadline, what would you say is the biggest concern entering the season with just the roster as is? What is your biggest concern for the Red Sox?
What do you mean? The Red Sox, the pitching? I mean, the positions or depth?
Anything.
I'm worried about injuries. If a key guy gets injured, I think that could really derail things. Obviously, I'm worried about the middle of the infield staying healthy. I'm still not totally over defense. Now, their defense should be better, but that's been a problem for them. And some of the little things, the base running, defense, some of those things need to really, and I'd like to think that, I love what Roman Anthony brings to the team, discipline-wise. He takes great at bats. I think he's a good base runner. All those things.
With ABS now implemented.
I'm hoping it helps. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I do think they're going to be good. I am optimistic. But do they have enough? Like I said, when they need that extra money because something goes wrong, do they have that on the roster that they can tap into that's going to be able to keep them afloat, keep them going? That's what I'm not convinced of. So
Sadly, I'm with you in terms of I don't know if Breslow's done enough to keep the Red Sox optimistic. Granted, he brought us Crochet and got him the extension, which is the biggest thing that he's ever done for us. But the credit that he was receiving for the Bregman signing, which tacitly seemed like it was Cora, his influence more than anything, has gone by the wayside because now you've rid yourself of Devers and you did not retain the services of Bregman. So we're going to have to retract that level of credit and praise we were giving to Breslow going into praising him and kissing the ring for about half of the season. Ultimately, then when Father's Day happened and the debacle of the
they were
Devers
so
trade,
close, George. They had an opportunity to have in their lineup Bregman, Devers, and Anthony. I mean, that is what I'm talking about.
Game changer.
That's what I'm talking about. That's Manny, Ortiz, and Nomar for the most part. Not exactly, but it's the closest thing you would have had to that.
Right. Throwing to Mike Lowell, right?
And they couldn't do it. And they were. It was right there, and they couldn't do it. And
elevates the rest of the team.
Yeah,
the Veritek, the Euclides.
The other concern, with a little C, because I don't think it's all bad, but the American League East. It's a good, the Yankees, you never can trust what the Rays are doing. They can always be a thorn on your side. And obviously the Blue Jays were right there to win the World Series, and they were active.
And we can't sleep on Baltimore. I expect
and Baltimore
to
too.
take a step forward.
Right. Baltimore.
And I'm glad you mentioned the division because I think something that we overlook is the starting staffs of the American League East. They're all pretty stacked. I know we want to glaze our rotation and praise it and say we have a surplus. Well, we might have a bunch of number 5 starters for all we know. So or we might have a bunch of 3 starters for all we know after Crochet. Look, is that going to be good enough? I don't know.
Is Baltimore loaded? I wouldn't say they're loaded, but Henderson, Rutschman, Alonso now is on that team.
Yep, great.
That's
lineup.
a good 1, 2, 3. Kauser's a decent hit. They're going to have something to say, I think. And it's I'm just saying, if then you end up in one of those wild card games where it's just one and done or something, that's tough. That's a tough thing, or a quick series. You never know. So
the Orioles added Shane Baz, right? No poo-poo. Obviously interdivisional right there. They still have Chris Bassett.
Yeah.
Kyle Bradish, who's pitched well against us, and then Trevor Rogers to head the staff. So I think that staff is a little underrated, to be sure. And then the addition of Pete Alonso to the lineup, and then Gunnar Henderson being healthy, assuming for the 162. I think the Orioles are poised to take the leap forward, what they were showing, in 23-24 seasons rather than last year.
So there's plenty to discuss, plenty to think about in terms of what could go wrong, what concerns you might have, all of that. I just feel like it's a good lineup. They're going to have holes. Will they fill the holes? It's as simple as that. Will they do what they need to do to continue the process to winning a championship? Or is it just going to be, hey, this was good enough. It was a pretty good lineup, pretty good year we're putting together. Pretty good is good enough. Is that what it's going to be? That's my concern. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports.
It all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Mark Dondero. What track is this, Jordan?
Duncan Sheik, Barely Breathing.
Great track. What year is that from?
I wouldn't think late 90s. I'll have to look it up. Probably 99,
The
97.
Nintendo 64 era. That's when that track is from.
My language.
Shout out to Babs on the mic. Retweeting or tweeting out something about N64 last night. I retweeted or tweeted an image of the Foxborough Patriots from Madden 64.
Great game.
Best sound I've ever heard in a game. The gameplay itself was fine, but the sound, I just loved the clacking of the pads. It was a great sounding game.
Yes, indeed. And I remember it being one of the very first Madden to be in 3D at that time. So I was very
didn't have the players, the license, the NFL license, so that was a problem.
The logos
at the time, I didn't care.
Yeah, I didn't care either. I knew we were one of the teams, like the Charlottes of the world. We got a Foxborough branding, but yeah, I went and played seasons upon seasons on that game. And
Bledsoe to Glenn. Fun game. My son, for a long time, was playing Nintendo 64. We didn't get him the PlayStation. He was balling out Madden 2000.
Legendary games, though. I have Madden 2000 personally on the PS1 for the sake of tying and attaching the NCAA game, where you could edit 10 teams at the PS1, and Brady, Michigan was a standout for me.
Top games, real quick. I love the Madden games, but if you're talking about my top 3 games, it would number 1 would be the Ken Griffey Jr. baseball series.
Wow, I was actually an all-star baseball guy.
No,
yeah,
good game, but the Griffey was my guy.
The first one, oh, yeah.
Both of them were excellent. Slugfest and the regular Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
excellent games. Excellent. To this day, I could sit down if I.
Were you a fan on the NES or was Ken Griffey on the N64?
No, NES too. I didn't play the
yeah.
second one as much, but that first one.
The first one was really good.
First one was awesome.
I edited those players. You
did?
Yes, I edited the whole
game.
Yeah, it was like 94-ish rosters or whatever. But
so my kids and I, like 2 years ago, we had a season going in that, but the system was just too. I'm talking about the Super Nintendo one. But the system was just too old.
It erased.
And it would erase. Like you get like 13 games in, it would erase.
I was a quick story. Shout out to my grandmother. I got really perturbed at her one day. She tripped over my SNES.
Oh, no.
My Tecmo Super Bowl season went by the wayside. I think I cried. I cried. I scolded her. God rest her soul, Grandma. I love her.
It's a regret.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I loved the Griffey games. That was number 1. Second one, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you know this game, George. NBA Hang Time. You remember that?
That's right.
It's like NBA Jam.
Underneath ASP, I have NBA Hang Time.
So we still play that. Like when my nephew, who's in high school, he lives in Philadelphia, comes up, we'll stay up late playing that. It's a great 2-person game. The gameplay takes 10 minutes. It's always fun. I just wish Jordan or Shaq was in the game.
Right.
Major problem with that, but I don't know why Shaq wasn't in it. I know.
Right. I don't think Barkley was in it either.
Barkley wasn't in it, but that was towards the end for him.
Yeah, we could always count on Kemp and Peyton.
Kemp was good. Pippen was good. David Robinson was really good in that game. I'm him a lot.
Create the wolf head onto my character, right? Oh,
and then the third one that I used to love was Wayne Gretzky hockey. Do you remember the Gretzky hockey?
Yes, Midway.
Awesome game.
They made so many classic games. I agree with you on the Madden side of it, too. I had NBA Live down here.
Didn't have Live on Nintendo 64. Had it on PlayStation later.
PS1 was better, to be sure, and they ended up carrying more than the 2 that the N64 got. But Antoine Walker was classic. It's during the NBA lockout, so the rosters aren't quite up to date. But if you have that controller pack, you go ahead and edit your stuff the way I do, the way nerds do. Nowadays, there isn't any excuse. You can go and find the rosters for the time. Go ahead and do them. That's the way I always enjoyed the games. Back then, my nerddom and roster compilations used to... I didn't used to start seasons until the trade deadline came. And then I would go ahead and then start my season with the players that would be fighting their way through the season on the back end, rather than trying to implement trades, because sometimes the real life trades aren't going to be accepted in the game, So I doubt the Devers one in the show would have been accepted by anybody.
No. I know.
You
It's
can't
crazy.
force feed that. So
I'll play with the kids when I can, but I'm like disappointed when I think about how much I used to love video games.
And no, we don't have the time for it anymore.
It's not even the time.
The passion.
Right. I've tried to put it on, and I've tried. Oh, damn it, I'm going to try one.
My shirt is Zelda.
And I'm like bored.
Yeah.
Or I can't do it, and I don't have the time for it anyway. But I'm like, I'm going to just try it and just see if I can recap, and it's just not there. And I'm just.
And I just let the little ones just take it over too anyways. If they see me, they usually bully me, and then I relent.
I'll tell you, though, dude, this is PlayStation 2 era, but I used to go with my friend Dougie. And he had this basement. He had a huge TV down there, and he'd play NFL 2K on like Dreamcast. You remember that system?
My first console that I bought.
It was a great game. Randy Moss, it was this guy. Yep. He played NFL 2K, 2K1. I would bring over this big TV. It wasn't big, but it was heavy. Put it,
back then.
Or he would have an extra TV. We'd set them up next to each other, and I would play Madden 02 or whatever it was, or NCAA football. He'd play NFL 2K, and my God, we just had the best time. Like, that was the glory days. Like, just hours and hours in the summer just playing games. So
99 and 2000, those were the times where Dreamcast had that upper leg for that little while, that little stretch, and then PS2 came in.
Just surged past it. Yeah.
That
especially once it got some of those games, like NFL 2K, NBA 2K went on to PlayStation.
Yeah, Sega went by the way.
So those are, the video game. I wish I was still into them.
Look, I'm wearing the Zelda shirt. I'm a big Zelda fan. I'll get all the Zelda games. Tears of the Kingdom, I have not been able to get into it.
I just can't do it. Even the ones I loved, like I used to love NBA Street.
Right.
Probably the first NBA Street, if you boil it all down, is probably my favorite game of all time.
Volume 2 ended up in the ante. It had Jordan.
It was awesome.
Yeah, so Volume 2.
Volume 2 was awesome.
Yep. So
more
ended up having
courts.
Jordan on Washington.
But there was nothing like the first. And when that first game came out, that changed my life at the time. And that was huge.
And Midway pushing the envelope, and EA Sports when they used to try, because EA Sports Big is the ones that created the NBA Street Series. Yeah.
So, in terms of I just wanted to comment real quick. So the Jaylen Brown stuff, I don't understand it. I don't think it's something I want to be heard talking about. But if he's trying to lead the Celtics, good. Who's my biggest fear in the Eastern Conference? No one team scares me more than another. I think it's the Celtics. The Celtics are I don't know if they've done enough to get to what they need to get to the point they need to get to win those close games, and to not, if it's a situation where you're not able to blow teams out, I don't know if they've accomplished that goal, that mini goal of becoming the team that can win close games night in and night out, and that's what scares me the most. Obviously, the Knicks are concerned. I love the way Detroit plays. They've had some playoff experience, so I think they'll be a factor. Cleveland is never easy for you.
Yeah, what about Cleveland?
I think all those teams are concerned. I think, though, this could be the year we see the first repeat in the NBA in a long time. Since the Warriors? I think Oklahoma City, I just have so much respect for that team. Their makeup, their DNA, their star, their approach, all of it. And I think
the West will be daunting, though.
It will be. And I know the Spurs they've had something.
Spurs look real.
They do. But they've never done it, and I just can't buy in fully. I buy into all of that. I buy into it. So
watching the Thunder game though the other night, and granted, I think that was the night that they sat Tatum, if I'm remembering correctly. But too much flopping, and I'm glad that Jaylen Brown called it out. And hopefully we get to this point where the foul baiting can actually be a non-call, a non-whistle. The referee should be swallowing the whistle and pause. Back then, if Bird was to jump into a defender who's just standing still, they didn't blow the whistle.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell who's initiating the contact. And nowadays, very, very savvy dribbling, players in the NBA, stars, and the ones who are guilty of it, you can tell. But the not landing when shooting, the ballerina acts, the flopping is what it is. I think my solution to it all is to shame them and to penalize them severely. Is the way to go about it. Even if they're not catching it in the moment, due to challenges and whatnot, finding them the next day severely, and then putting like stipends to it, like a step 2, step 3, and then there'll actually be suspensions. I think when they hit them in the wallet and shame them publicly for it, and the referees kind of loosen up as kind of an incentive, off-season incentive. They look out for this kind of a flop, or when somebody jumps into.
It should be like a foul.
Yeah, it should be right. Oh, the other way, right? For embellishment, flopping.
My point is, it's not hard to see if somebody's overdoing it with their body movement.
And see, he's the MVP though. That's where I'm. Just
I don't care.
He's made it to be the MVP. I don't want to celebrate or glorify that kind of an athlete. Now he's savvy and he can wet a jump shot, and for his ability to get to the line and his nuance in his game, okay, that's great.
Yeah, but when you're flailing your arms, your head goes back, that's clear that even if there was contact, you're flopping.
And it is permeated to the lower levels as well. So, and it's already a ring around the rosy copycat.
Okay, so since you said, that's good that you said that. So that brings us to the point I wanted to make before you have to go. The NBA and why they're not as popular anymore. Okay, two things. I heard Kendra and Matt talking about this. I didn't hear the whole thing. I don't know if they brought these points out. There are two reasons why baseball, I don't want to diminish what baseball has done.
Right.
Give baseball credit. They've got a great core of young players, and the World Baseball Classic has obviously helped in the season. I think there's been some underrated parity in Major League Baseball. We always talk about football.
And no one's rooting for a lockout.
Baseball's done their part. That's a separate issue that we'll get to. Or not now, but that's coming. I think two things that have really not ruined, but have hurt basketball. Two things. Number one, LeBron James. Great player and all-time great. I think his overall presence has been a negative for basketball. I don't think people like him all that much. I think the whole thing not helping out All-Star Weekend has hurt the sport. Never doing the dunk contest, changing teams, the super team era.
Exactly.
I think all of the above, flopping, the whining, all of the above has hurt basketball. And then the other big thing, probably the biggest thing, I think they got too political after the pandemic. I think it's been too political in the NBA, and I don't think people appreciated that. And I think that right there gave enough momentum to baseball where the NBA was very into a lot of different things politically, took away from some of the things that people liked about the sport. And I think if you're too political and you voice those opinions when people aren't looking for them, that turns people off. Now, it's one thing to be political on a channel or a publication where you're talking politics and people look for that content in that space.
Right.
If you're not looking for politics and people are being political in any walk of life, I feel like it's off-putting, and I think that turned a lot of people off since that 2020 time period. And I think that combined with, the whole thing with LeBron, and I don't think it's the threes. Like people, they shoot too many threes. That's not why the NBA is down and MLB the major leagues is up.
And the markets, though, too. I would say OKC and Indiana final is not,
that's a factor.
Not the sexiest thing.
You're
to
right. That is a factor.
Other, finals
I think the politics has been a big part of why baseball was able to generate or capitalize a little bit more, because people didn't like some of the things the NBA was doing on top of what you said. The small markets and other stuff. But in baseball, again, I don't want to discredit baseball. Has done great generating that momentum themselves. George, always a pleasure. Thanks, man.
Much appreciated, Mark.
Okay.
You did a great job steering the ship, captaining it. And
couple elves here from Toucher and Hardy.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to Toucher and Hardy. I made the leprechaun list.
The leprechaun list. That's what I meant. Not elves. Leprechauns.
I am an angry elf. Yes.
Elves. All right. Sounds good. We'll talk to you later this week. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Zone.